My name is Andre LaMont. I'm your moderator, and let's go down the row and talk to these people because I've never met them before. So, like you, I'm meeting them at the same time. So let's see what they got. All right. So let's start with Serena. I do know her name.
I'm Serena. He was right. Serena Dykman. I am a writer, director, producer. I did start out as an actor in France, Belgium, London, but I've been New York based for about 6 years now. So yeah, and I have a film in the festival. It's called The Doorman. People tell me it's funny, so I like to believe them.
Hi, I'm Crystal Lee Brown. I'm an actor, producer, and writer. I'm also a actors marketing guru / coach. So I teach actors how to effectively market themselves in the industry, how to reach out to people in this industry that can say yes, that can hire you, how to cultivate relationships with casting directors, producers, directors, how to effectively use your social media to get the information that you are an actor in this business or a writer or a director, to reach out to those people so they know that you exist. I like to go by the fact that it's not who you know, but who knows about you. So as an actor, I love to give back to actors vital information that is vital in this business because you are a business. So that's what I teach actors.
Hey there, my name is Andrea Hume. I am owner of Marinella Hume Casting, previously known as Marinella Casting. The company's been around for probably about 25 years. We go wherever the work is. So all over the United States, sometimes even outside the United States. We did Runner, which was in Puerto Rico. We have a database that has tens of thousands of people in it. We have 3 S-Corps at the moment, and that's in Georgia, Florida, and also Illinois. And currently, this is kind of where we get the most work, although, as I said, we certainly are willing to go wherever the work takes us.
All right, then. So let's do something slightly different. Let's get a gauge of who's in the audience, since we have such a big audience, because we got casting, we got production. I guess I'm kind of like in between. So let's get an idea. Who's all actors in the room? Who's actors? Well, that's half the room. Who's producers, directors? Okay. All right. But below the line people, we got below the line people. Any other below the line people here? We all know what that means, right? So we got all above the line people. That we're saying everybody in the room is above the line, all right? Y'all know what that means? You know what it means? Okay, above the line means your people who normally get residuals. Writers, creators, directors, producers, actors, you know, those people. Below the line are DPs, ADs, production managers, which are very needed, down to the greensmen and the PAs and the drivers. So below the line encompasses most of the crew anyway. But your decision makers or creative people or your bigger money makers are probably coming from that, although we get Academy Awards in below the line positions as well. And DPs, to me, are still the smartest person on the whole crew. That's just me personally. And I'm not a DP. By and large, from what I've seen, DPs are really, really super smart people. And without them, sometimes I just don't know. So we got an idea. So the panel's supposed to cover what people are looking for. And so we got basically kind of both sides of the camera here. We got in front of the camera, even though I know Crystal says she's done some other things behind the camera as well. Andrea, have you done anything behind the camera? I mean, like direct or produce? No. Okay, so just deal only with talent?
Yes.
Okay, and so let's start there because we know we got a lot of actors in the room. Marinella started with extras, right?
Correct.
Okay, and now you're kind of bridging more into casting spoken lead roles, is that right?
Not so much. We do from time to time we do principal, but our specialty is background.
Okay, so let's go over that real quick because sometimes I don't think people really, I know they kind of understand, but maybe they don't understand, you know. What is the highest position, I guess, as an actor that you might cover? I know you might get a speaking or principal part occasionally, but not actually, right? You don't get that all?
Occasionally.
Occasionally, right. So when someone signs up with you, let's say that you send them a role or offer them something, and they feel that that's not right for them. what may be your response? Would you sometimes say, well, this is how we see it, or is that something that's normally saved for the principal roles? Because I had somebody tell me one time a while back, and they sent me a role. It's for a pretty big budget film, and I didn't like the character they sent me. It just wasn't me. And they thought I had a problem with that. What is your opinion about when turning down something?
I think there's two schools of thoughts, and this is kind of a trick question. Because one is, what are you? You're an actor. So act like one. You don't gotta like the role, it doesn't matter, right? And my other school of thought on this is, if you're uncomfortable with it, and if you really don't like it, the energy's not gonna be there, and the vibe isn't gonna be there. So do yourself a favor, do production a favor, do everyone a favor, and be honest. And simply come out and say that it's, you know, it's not for you, that you're not interested. Now, you have to certainly be, you know, have the courtesy to give them enough time to fill the role. That's a must. So I don't know. That's kind of a trick question, because I look at it both ways.
Right, because it could come up sometimes, because this was something that I felt uncomfortable in doing. I just didn't feel comfortable. So I know sometimes, a lot of times with nudity, that comes up a lot. Or sometimes cursing and maybe somebody's religious belief comes into play. So I just want to hear your thought about that. Crystal, you ever had any issues with that in your travels? Maybe having an issue with a role, and how did you deal with it?
Sure. I think you're right in terms of if you aren't comfortable with the role, but as an actor, I still will approach my audition how I interpret the character. The role, the writing doesn't have to be, you know, we all want to work on great projects where the writing is great, where the cast is great, but you still have to be respectful, not to just be turning down auditions, because you don't want to have that backlash on you, and then you've turned down auditions, or you've complained, you're already complaining before you even got on the set. You know, that may leave a bad taste in a writer's mouth and casting directors, you know, so I still will approach I've had tons of auditions where I was like, ugh, I don't think I'm right for this, you know? How did my agent get this, or how, you know, do they want to see me when I don't look like this, I don't, you know, I don't embody this, but I still did the audition and got great feedback. But even on the other side of the table, a casting director can see that the energy isn't there, you know, so that would be them not selecting you for the role. But I still will approach every material and digest it just like it was a role that I really wanted. Because, like you said, if you're an actor, act like one. You're going to be uncomfortable at times. You're going to be on set when it's 10 degrees outside and raining, and you still got to get the shot. So are you going to say, I don't like the cold, after you already signed your contract? You know, so I think just rolling with what you get, and in the long run, it can grow you as an actor. You know, maybe you should approach uncomfortable material, because audience like to see uncomfortability in actors. You know, those are the best roles, when you feel uncomfortable as an audience because the actor is doing their job. Right. So.
Okay, so let's stay on that same path for a quick moment, because I think a lot of people are dealing with, particularly maybe in Atlanta, not having an agent or not having a manager, which we know are two different scenarios. So any advice to those actors who don't have an agent and maybe not even have a manager? Can you tell them, I guess, how important it is, but more or less, how can they function, how do they maneuver through the, you know, through the casting world by not having one now, and maybe some suggestion to bridge that gap? Anybody can, I mean.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. So not having an agent, I've been without representation maybe half of my acting career, or in between agents. Currently, I do have an agent. I have an agent here, and I have an agent in Los Angeles. However, just because you have an agent, that doesn't mean that the work that you do, that we do as actors, stop. Because agents only get 10% of our money, which means we should be doing 90+% of the work. And there's going to be roles that we don't get. I just had a conversation with my friend who's also an actor. Wow, how didn't I get called in for that role that fits my type, that fits my look, that is everything that I am? How did I not even get the audition? And that's not our problem as an actor, but our representation. You know, not saying that that's their problem, but it goes to having that relationship with your agent, because sometimes you're on a roster and you get lost in the sauce with people who are consistently working or with actors who are consistently in communication with their agent. If I'm an agent and I'm, have a great rapport with 5 of my clients, meaning they invite me to their birthday party, they send a Christmas card, they follow up and just let me know what they're doing outside of me pitching them. Hey, I'm in a show, I just wrote a project, all these things that we as actors should be doing to create our own work. I'll be more inclined as an agent to pitch them more because I see that you're working on your career. You're not just sitting there waiting for me to get you in the door with something, because only the agent can get you in the door to do the audition, but we have to book the job. So in terms of finding agents, you can't, an agent at this time is not looking for mediocre or not a lot of experience. And there are some agencies and managers who take actors that's in development that will work with you on getting your stuff. But what I tend to find is that a lot of actors just aren't prepared for that general meeting, meaning their material aren't in order. Their headshots, they don't have a headshot, they have an issue about, or an excuse about not having a headshot, or their headshot is just not right. And that's a whole different conversation on getting the right headshot and knowing your type and your brand, because if you don't understand your type and your brand and your essence, how do you go pay a photographer $500 to take a picture of you when you don't know what it is that you're selling? So I can take the picture, so those things. And as an agent, they look at that. They look at your online presence. They look at your headshot, your resume. And if that's not up to par, that's going to be a big reason on why you're not going to land any representation as quickly as you may like.
So, Andrea, let me ask you a question with that. She just said something. How many pictures, what's the max that you want to get from somebody? 4 or 5, too many, 3 or 4?
I personally like to get 2 or 3.
Okay.
And
the
I think
full
that,
body, the medium, the close, the headshot, right?
and that's enough for me.
Right.
When I say 2, I like to have, shoulders up and then a full body shot. I like to see. The third one, a side profile, is nice. But anything over that, for me, just being quite honest, for me, it becomes overkill.
Right.
And it becomes too much. I want it all spelled out in those 3 photos. I like everything to be kept very, very simple. We see a lot of people. We see a lot of pictures. So for me, the simpler and the cleaner that it can be, I really appreciate it, and it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. Sometimes, there just can be too much information, too many pictures, and that doesn't work well for somebody. That's my opinion.
Right. Do you expect more quality with the headshot and maybe not as much quality with the full body shot? Because I know Crystal was just saying spending a certain amount of money, and sometimes people don't know what to spend and what not to spend, because some photographers will overcharge you if you don't know any better. If you know better, maybe you can get by with that. So with that being said, the quality of that headshot versus the quality of that full shot.
Well, again, you have to remember that I specialize in background.
Right.
From time to time, we get principal. Now, background is certainly more than warm bodies. That's for sure. However, it is not, I do not hold it against somebody if they do not have a professional headshot, if they have not went out and spent $500. As a matter of fact, I encourage them not to do that. Nowadays, almost everybody has a smartphone. Utilize it. There's no reason that you cannot go up against a blank wall and that you can't make sure that the lighting is perfect, and that you can't make sure that you're in good wardrobe, full hair, full makeup, and have somebody take the pictures for you. Have your best friend, your husband, your wife, whoever. Have them take several pictures, and then you narrow it down to the 3 that you like the best, or the 2 that you like the best, and this is what you submit. I don't encourage anybody, for background, to spend that money on headshots. I don't think that it's necessary. I just think that you have to know what you're doing when you take the pictures, though. Don't take pictures that make you look all washed out. Don't take pictures, with grandma and all your cousins and send me those pictures. Don't send me pictures in your bikini. That's not going to get you,
It
cast.
happens. It happens.
Certainly don't send me pictures without the bikini. And this happens too, all the time, trust me. So just, keep them tasteful, keep them classy. And, again, for me, just speaking about background, I don't need the professional headshot. Now, we do come across featured roles from time to time, and time to time we do get principal. So because of that, we have a database that has tens of thousands of people in it, and at our open calls, like the one that we offered here tonight, they're always free, and we always have a professional photographer present, and he is willing to take your headshots for our database for free. And these are pictures that we feel comfortable showing to directors and showing to producers when they want a picture select. These will all be taken from our database, so they'll all be uniform for one thing as far as the background and everything. It just looks much more professional and enabling them to select who it is that they want to select. But if it's not a picture select, I don't have a problem with that picture not being done by a professional photographer, and I hope that made sense.
And if I may, on that note, don't get pictures of you that don't look like you. Of course, you always want to look a little better, better makeup, better lighting, but the amount of times you get a picture, you get a headshot, you call the person in, and you keep looking, and you're like, this is not the same person. And this is not, you want to come into the audition room for who you are. We're not going to cast you for someone you're not. That's just not going to happen. Don't try to sell yourself when you're not that person. So it's great
No
to
glamour shots.
Yeah, exactly. It's great to get, $500 pictures, great makeup, beautiful hair, but as long as we can still recognize you and as long as we can see in the picture, we can kind of see who you are, what kind of person you are, and what kind of person you can portray. Because at the end of the day, we will cast you for you.
So, Crystal, what's in your demo package? What do you send out? Example. I mean, you got video, DVD, obviously, headshots. What's in your typical package?
So in my typical package, headshot, a theatrical shot, a commercial shot, my demo reel, my links to my online presence.
How long is that demo reel?
Demo reel, no more than 2 minutes. My demo reel, I think, is like 149 or something like that.
Did you get it professionally edited, or did you do it yourself?
At the time, I did get a professional editor to do it. However, I can edit my own now, only because, with Apple computers and whatever computer, they have a whole iMovie and things on there where you can just learn how to edit some clips and put a transition in there to one scene.
Did you look at others' demo reel before you start editing your own?
Absolutely, absolutely. I absolutely looked at other actors' demo reels, peers of mine, friends of mine. Demo reel, always putting your best work first. It's hard when, I watch demo reels and I don't know who I'm watching, especially if it's a film where there was an all African-American cast. And let's just say it was my demo reel. And there's 3 girls in a scene. Well, which one is Crystal? Because they're all at a party or they're all at a table or something like that. So that they're not, they're putting the fact that I was in this project, but your demo reel should be focusing on you. Now, of course, if you're in a scene with Denzel or somebody, of course, that should go at the top of your, the first scene of your demo reel. But making sure that your demo reel is you, we're watching you, that they're not confused on, okay, it's 2 girls, but they both look alike, and I'm not sure whose reel this is, And sometimes they're putting footage on there where the other actors are outshotting the person who reel it is, But definitely, your best work first. Something that shows range, so if you have that footage of range, nowadays they like a comedic reel, then a theatrical reel, a speed reel, so there's online sites like Actors Access and things of that you can put different type of reels up, because sometimes they just want to see your comedic reel. This is a comedic role. I want to see her do comedy. So you should have a 1 minute, 1 to 2 minute comedic reel, and then a theatrical reel. Definitely your links to your online presence, so your website, your Twitter, social media, the things of that nature, because quite frankly, that's what they tend to look at first now, because social media is so huge. I had a friend who went out for an audition for something, and I'm not sure if she got it or not, but she was like, girl, they was checking my Twitter followers. Like, they wanted to know how many followers I had first, like, to get the job. You know, because at the end of the day, the more followers you have, the more people are seeing this project, the more money and all that. So at the end of the day, it's a business. So, you know, not to say go out and buy 50,000 followers, you know, but making sure that that the package that you send is crisp and it really sells you and what you're selling. As actors, we need to know our brand. And that's, you know, I like to tell the story that you can go outside and buy a Pepsi right now, but you can also get on the plane for 15 hours and go to Japan and get a Pepsi. And guess what? The Pepsi's going to taste exactly the same because the Pepsi brand has packaged their product to be consistent anywhere in this world that you go, regardless of how many plants they have that's making the product. So as a product, as an actor, casting, producers, directors should be able to see the consistency in you as a brand. You know, that if I call this actor in, I know that they're going to be prepared, they're going to do the work, and even if they don't get the role, I'm a fan of their work, so they can consistently be called in. So we shouldn't be walking into auditions wanting to book the job, even though we want the job, right? But to make fans of the people that's on the other side of the table so that we can be consistently called in, because we're not going to be right for everything. But if you make them fans of you, then...
So let me ask you this question. You're in Bessie, that they're shooting or just got through shooting, right?
Yes.
Are you still taking acting classes?
Absolutely. I just did a 2-day acting course at AOA Studios out here, where a phenomenal acting coach from New York flew in, and she did like a whole 2-week workshop and classes. So I always try to stay in a class. I used to be in a 2-year program in LA, and then, you just find classes where, if you need to brush up on your cold reading skills, if you need to, take a commercial workshop because you want to get into commercials, you should never not be in class. Now, classes cost money, so I get it. You have to be in between sometime, but if you can hone in on a teacher or a teaching that teaches you something as an actor, how to continually grow your craft and exercise that muscle, even if you can't afford the class, you can find sides online and just be in your house with a camcorder and just be running audition sides, breaking down the script, all those things. So constantly exercising the muscle.
Right.
Yes.
So with that being said, what's in your demo package? Because we can talk actor, producer, director, or producer, director. So, Selena, what's in your demo package?
Well, I just want to comment something on
Go
that
ahead.
first, if I can.
Go ahead.
Just about the demo reel. So we get, just for the type of things I do, I get thousands of submissions. Like in 24 hours, we literally get 1,000 submissions. And I'm talking for not paying jobs, short films, and it's just the way we look at it online, the first picture needs to pop out because it's so easy to get lost. So make sure that your first picture is something that's interesting, is something that's professional. Once again, is something that is you. And then about the demo reel, there's very often we see actors that we're really interested in. They have that look we're looking for. It seems perfect for the character. We want to call them in. And then we see they have a demo reel, and it's like, oh, it's great. They've done some things. And more often than not, you click on it, and it's a very bad demo reel, and they don't get the audition. So if you don't have enough material to put in your reel yet, don't put it up. If it's not necessary for whatever thing you're applying for, just don't put it up. You're going to get more auditions. At least with the people I work with, that's what we do. Mm-hmm. And sometimes people haven't had the opportunity, they haven't had the experience, but they're great. And they're great for the part, and they land, the lead roles in short films that tour the world. But they were smart enough not to put a bad demo reel online. So going back to your question, I'm currently in post-production for my last 2 films. So I'm waiting. I could put something quickly together in a day and be like, okay, I have this, that. They're all very different genres. I think it's pretty good work. But I'm, waiting for everything to be fully edited, to be fully colored, and make sure I can pick out the scenes, the best scenes of everything I've done, so I can present myself in the best light and not be, okay, that's kind of what I did, that's kind of what I can do. Be like, okay, this is the greatest things I've ever done. here it is, now you be the judge, but I know that this is, for me, what I think is best. So just make sure not to put out there what you're not certain about, I guess would be my advice.
So are we, how do you feel about somebody putting, if they don't have a lot of experience, I guess it's for anybody, how do you feel about people putting themselves in a scene or so or something similar with monologues?
I'm personally not a great fan of it. I'd rather, there's being a good actor and there's being right for the part. Once again, what I do is I really cast people for specific roles rather than a database. However, when it happens very often that we get people that are not right for the part, and we're working on so many films at the same time that we refer them to other things, and it's like, yeah, you were in the right look or this or that, but actually I'm working on this project right now and you'd be great for it, come in and audition. So just going back to the monologue question, I'd rather, what you want to do is get your foot in the door of that audition room. You just want to go in and you want to blow us away. So whatever you can do to make that happen, I'd rather not see something that was shot on an iPhone. That's personal, I know. In New York, usually we try to stay away from that. But then if you have a mind-blowing monologue and you're gonna make us cry after 30 seconds or laugh, then put it up. If you think, be the toughest judge you can be on yourself, if that makes sense.
I just wanted to say one thing about demo reels, because there are a lot of people who don't, I want more colors on my demo reel, like more parts that I haven't been cast in, but I know I can do. I know there's a service in New York and one in LA. You can just look it up. They may do it here. It's called Create Your Own Reel. So basically, there is a team of writers, directors, and you contact them, and they would shoot 3 scenes. You can either pay for 1 scene or to have 2 or 3 scenes, and literally you'll say, you know what, I can play a hooker really well, or I can play a doctor, like I really want to do a loving nurse, whatever that type is that you want to showcase, and they'll write you like a 1-page, page and a half script, and they'll email it to you, you can make revisions on it, all that, and basically when you come in to shoot, there's a set, very professional. You can go on createyourreel.com and you can look on other actors' demo reels that these weren't productions. They weren't on a real television or film set. They were in a studio that this company has, and playing cop, playing this, playing that, and they will have another actor there reading with you, but the camera is on you. So you'll see like a side maybe of an actor to show that you are in a scene with someone, but it's all about you, and they look phenomenal. So even though they're not from Law & Order or all these other shows, it's about showing your work. So if you do a great job just in that, something that you helped to create because you wanted to showcase yourself in this light, it's a great tool to do if you don't have anything, because you'll be waiting forever to book Law & Order, to play a victim. So you can play a victim, and they have writers and all that, and it looks phenomenal. It looks phenomenal.
That's what I wondered, was how much something like that costs. It's new to me, and I think it sounds fantastic. Not for background work.
Like 3 or 4 scenes was like $600.
$600 for 3 or 4
like
scenes?
600 bucks, yeah. And yeah, like 2. You could do 1 scene for 200. They have like little specials. So like if you go on their website, they always have.
So the more you do, I'm sure the cheaper the price.
Yeah, the more you do, they have
Right.
get $150 off and things of that nature. But in a time where and that's another thing. Everything is cost, right? Like as an actor in this business, we have to invest in ourselves. Like no, when I first moved to LA, I did not want to pay $400 for my headshots. They were great, but $400? Oh wow, and I have to pay $300 a month to be in this ongoing class? Oh wow, then I have to pay $68 a year to be on Actors Access and $150 a year to be on IMDb. It adds up before you even book a paying job. But this is the career that we chose, and we have to invest in ourselves. Now, some people are overcharging and being ridiculous, but you still have to understand that you have to invest in yourself. So if that means when you get a credit card, you know that this credit card is just for my acting, or when you get paid, you divvy up your money however you need, that you know that this is going towards an expense that I need to print out my headshots. I need 100 of my headshots printed out, and they cost $50. It adds up, but to know that you really have to invest in yourself first before you even see a reward of being booked on something to pay for all this stuff that you paid for 5 years. So it's just the nature of the game. Because I've spent a lot of money.
Well, I guess people, and I guess people do know some of that can be written off. It may not be a big help, but you do understand. My advice is to get you a tax advisor or someone to do your taxes as a professional, because you got to pay a little extra, but you need to write off some of that stuff that you guys are spending, because it can be written off. And my little tidbit, I started off taking pictures, maybe not headshots, and I always say the way I work my business, and I pretty much try to do a lot of different things, if you don't have the money, then you got to put time into things. You got to put time into meeting photographers that you know you want to shoot with. Try to go and meet them, go to their functions, try to get to know them. If their price is $500, bring it down to $300. Everything in life is negotiable if you know how to negotiate and have skills, because one of the greatest skills in this business is the gift of conversation. You can talk your way or out of a lot of things, but you're going to lose some, but you need to win just the right one. So I taught a little acting myself. You know, I don't consider myself that, but I taught from the fact that I went to school for filmmaking, and I would try to teach people how to save money. Photographers can be talked down. They need, sometimes need people to come and take shots when they get new equipment. They need people to do things for them, and that's the way. Same thing with editing. Maybe you may be not as bright as Crystal to look at the editing and do it, because everybody is not a good editor. It's not that easy, even with your own stuff. So, you know, there's a lot of schools around here that have video programs. Yeah, that's what they're for. You know, use them for that, you know, to edit something, and maybe you can cut a deal with them, maybe $150 or $100 to 2 students, and take the best one and go for it, you know, as opposed to paying somebody $300, you know. So Atlanta has a lot of resources, but you have to learn to think outside the box. This is not a cheap game by no means. And then, too, trying to fly from one city to the other. A lot of people know people at the airlines. They got buddy passes. It may not be the best thing, but it's cheaper. And you have to find ways to do that. And that's why I'll ask some of the questions so you guys can get this. We're going to probably lose tape time here soon,